Okay, story time. I've blown up my life more times than I'd care to admit, to be honest. I've quit jobs that I actually liked. I've ended relationships that were pretty good in the grand scheme of things. I've backpacked over and over and over again. I've moved countries. I've started over. I burned everything down a lot. And every time I told myself the same story that the job wasn't right for me, or the relationship wasn't working, or that I needed a fresh start. I needed to get away. I needed to find myself. I needed to be anywhere but where I was. But here's the truth. I didn't want to see, and definitely didn't see for many, many years. I wasn't running from my life. I was running from myself. And guess what? Whenever I did, my baggage was on the same plane because when the discomfort got too loud, when I couldn't sit with myself anymore, blowing everything up felt like the only way to feel different. Except it never works. If anyone's ever done it, you'll know. Because everywhere I went, there I was. And there was my baggage with me. Hi, I'm Jodie. This is day 7, week 1 of the Change Code. Today we are talking about self-sabotage, which I know is my personal favourite subject quite well. Why you keep blowing up your life. Not because you're self-destructive, but because you're trying to escape this feeling, this discomfort, this dysregulation. And no amount of changing up your life is going to fix an internal nervous system problem, gang. So before we get into how to stop blowing up your life, let me explain what's really happening when you self-sabotage and how to finally stop running. So here's what the cycle looked like for me. Everything would be objectively fine, maybe even good. You could say even really good. You could say good. Job was going well. Relationship was moseying along. Life on paper, a-okay, working. But inside, chaos, restlessness, anxiety, skin crawling, discomfort, feeling trapped all the time. I can't be here. I need to get out. Not out of the room, out of my life. And my brain would start that narrative. This job is soul crushing me. I'm wasting my life. I need to quit and do something that actually matters. Or, and this relationship is wrong. I'm settling. I need to leave. I need to find my real person. This city is draining me. I need to move somewhere I can finally be myself. The narrative always made sense. It was always compelling. So I'd do it. I'd blow it up. I'd quit the job. I'd end the relationship and I'd move. And for a few weeks, there was some relief and that restless, skin crawling feeling would go away. I'd feel alive, free, like I'd finally escaped. Except plot twist, the feeling would come back. 3 months later, 6 months later, new job, new relationship, same internal restlessness. No matter who I was with, I couldn't escape myself. There was the same I need to get out feeling. And I'd think, fuck, I made the wrong choice again. This job isn't right either. This city isn't it. This relationship isn't it. And the cycle would start all over again because I was chasing external change to fix an internal nervous system problem. And it doesn't work. It can't work because the problem wasn't out there. It was in here. You knew that was coming. You knew that was coming. You knew that was coming. Here's what I finally understood. That restless, skin crawling, I need to blow everything up feeling, that's not intuition. That is dysregulation. And let me break down what was actually happening in my body. My nervous system was chronically activated. Months, years of overriding my needs, ignoring my boundaries, pushing through exhaustion and performing fine when I wasn't. That was that chronic self-abandonment. My body was screaming, stop, rest, this is unsustainable. But I couldn't hear it because I was too busy being high functioning. So the activation within me built and built and built until my nervous system hit a wall. Threat, danger, escape. And my brain, trying to make sense of it all, created a story. The job is the problem. The relationship is the problem. Where I'm living is the problem. But the job wasn't the problem. The relationship wasn't always the problem. My dysregulated nervous system was the problem. And here's the kicker: blowing everything up actually did relieve the activation temporarily, because novelty and change activate your sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight mode. Novelty or change activate your sympathetic nervous system. Novelty or change. So for a few weeks, the restless activation got channeled into packing, moving, job hunting, starting afresh. And my nervous system had something to do with activation instead of just sitting with it. But once the dust settled, once the novelty wore off, the dysregulation was still there because I never actually regulated. I just distracted myself with more chaos. So this is what I see all the time. People who started over, they keep moving, they keep changing jobs, they keep ending relationships, and they're not commitment phobic. They're not restless free spirits, although maybe a little bit of me. They're dysregulated and they're trying to outrun it. But you can't outrun your own nervous system. Everywhere you go, there you are. So what changed for me? I was living in New Zealand, another fresh start, another attempt to escape myself, and I felt it starting again. That familiar restlessness, the I need to get out of here feeling was building. And my brain started the narrative: this place isn't right. I need to move again. I need to go back to the UK. I need to travel around the island. But this time, something stopped me. A friend, someone dear to me who knows my patterns, said, what if you stayed? What if you sat with your discomfort instead of running? And I want to ignore her because that felt impossible to me. The discomfort felt unbearable, essentially. Blowing everything up felt like a much better, easier option than staying with myself. But for the first time in my life, I stayed. Not in the place, because actually it was time to come home, but that's another story. I mean, I stayed with myself. When the restless feeling came, instead of planning and plotting and thinking out of my escape, I asked, what is my body actually trying to tell me? And here's what I found. I was exhausted, months of overworking. I'd abandoned every boundary I tried to set. I was performing a version I thought I should be instead of who I actually was. I was lonely, but instead of addressing it, I was planning to run. The restlessness wasn't telling me to leave, it was telling me to change how I was living. So I did something radical. I stayed. I started regulating. I rested, actually rested, not scrolled Instagram while my body screamed for sleep rested. I set boundaries, real ones, even when it was uncomfortable. I stopped that performing and started showing up as myself, messy, imperfect, really real, and built connection. I asked for help. I stopped pretending I had it all together. And you know what happened? The restless feeling went away, not because I changed my external circumstances, but because I regulated. I stopped abandoning myself because I finally addressed the actual problem, my dysregulated nervous system. That was a long time ago, and I'm still in the same place, same life, not because I'm stuck, but because I'm not running anymore. I finally learned to stay with myself. This is the thread running through everything we've covered. Overthinking. We're not overthinking. I wasn't overthinking my life choices. I was experiencing nervous system dysregulation and my brain was trying to make sense of it. Anxiety, that restless, skin crawling feeling, wasn't anxiety for no reason. It was neuroception detecting chronic threat, self abandonment, boundary violations, exhaustion, change. I kept seeking external change because I didn't know how to create internal regulation. Fresh starts felt like the only answer. Burnout, the exhaustion I was running from, nervous system depletion. Well, moving didn't fix it, but regulation did. Self abandonment. Every time I overrode my needs to keep performing, I abandoned myself. And I was trying to escape. My body was screaming stop through restlessness, exhaustion, anxiety. I just couldn't hear it, the noise over all of my escape patterns, because you can't change your way out dysregulation, because external changes, they don't address the problem, the real problem. The nervous system comes with you. So if you don't regulate, if you don't stop abandoning yourself, you just blow up the new life too. But because the problem was never out there, it's in here. And the good news is, once you understand this, everything changes. You stop blaming your circumstances. You stop thinking, if I just had the right job, the right guy, the right city, the right girl, then I'll feel better. You start asking, how do I need to change how I'm showing up? That's the shift. You can't transform. You start asking, how do I need to change how I'm showing up? That's the start shift of the Change Code, my book and framework. You can't transform from regulation. You can't transform from dysregulation. So we start here understanding why you do what you do. You now understand how your nervous system works, why you struggle with change, what your body's trying to tell you, why you keep blowing your life up when the real problem is internal. Next week, we're building the skills to stay, to regulate, to stop running, to build better beliefs. Because inner peace isn't something you find, it's something you build. And you're building it right now. So here's what I want you to know. If you've blown up your life once, twice, 10 times, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not self-destructive. You're not a failure. You're just dysregulated. And you've been trying to escape a feeling you didn't know how to regulate. And that's not weakness. That's your nervous system doing its job. Threat, escape. But here's the truth. You can't outrun yourself. And the only way out is through through regulation, through staying with yourself even when it's uncomfortable, through building the internal safety you've been searching for everywhere else but inside. That's what week 2 is about. Building self-trust, building belief, building the capacity to stay even when your nervous system screams run. Because the life you keep blowing up is not the problem, the dysregulation is. And once you address that, everything else becomes possible. Week 1, done. You're not running anymore. You're building a life you don't want to escape from. If this hit you, you're not alone. Next week, your inner critic is trying to save you, not destroy you, in you. That voice that says you're not good enough, it formed when you were young and never got updated. We're going to befriend it next week. I'm Jodie Bowen. This was week 1 of the Change Code complete. Stop running, start building. See you next week.